This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
So, who is this Walleye team that we just witnessed play 4 games? Because I don't recognize them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sandbagger champions of the regular season right here? Holy smokes.
You know, it's funny. I was saying to a couple of people, I was like, and I don't want this to come off wrong, but it's kind of like they milked it. And they finished first in the division and milked it.
Yeah, man. I know in the playoffs you find a new gear. They found 3 more gears to jump. It was insane.
Well, and it goes back to you see it all the time. Teams have this ability to just flip a switch, right? And we're going to talk about that later, flipping a switch and what that does. And you could definitely tell the urgency was more, I think the hunger was more, everything was more. They just did everything so much better in this series than what they did the entire regular season.
This recap that we're about to do is some of the most fun hockey I've probably ever watched. Ever. It was just pure joy to watch this team play these 4 games. And I'm so excited to recap it. So let's dive into it. Welcome back to the Hockeytown West podcast, everyone. Your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
And I'm Travis.
And this is another Toledo Walleye focused episode. Our episodes are going to be kind of jumbled and out of order now because the last episode we did was a Toledo Walleye show. This is a Toledo Walleye show, but with the playoffs and the weird schedule that with the Griffins schedule, we will talk about in the Griffins show because their playoff schedule is just mind-boggling with how strange it is. You're going to see some out-of-order stuff. You're going to see episodes posted at different dates. We're going to try to keep as up-to-date as possible. With the way the Walleye rolled, we kind of just held out here and decided instead of doing a couple game recap, how about we just do the whole first round recap because they made it easy for us this round. So if you're looking for Griffin stuff, that episode's coming. A playoff preview will be out on Monday morning for everyone ahead of game 1. But now we're here to talk about the Toledo Walleye and their first round series against the Indy Fuel and what a series it was. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. So before we dive in, man, Trav, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Looks like Indy's out of fuel, but, happens.
Oh, dude, it's, again, just such a fun series. I cannot wait to talk about this. And let's just dive right into it here with game 1. I was fortunate enough to be able to make the trip down to Toledo for game 1. My plan for myself with my crazy schedule, as it's gotten even crazier this week with some personal events, is to make it to at least 1 game per round. And, luckily with us, if it turns out being a Toledo-Fort Wayne series in the second round, that's still kind of close enough to Michigan where if I don't make it to Toledo, I can make it there. But seeing the schedule that's already out, I should be able to make it to game 2, I think is the target for round 2 here. So I'm excited for that. But man, what an environment it was for game 1 in the Huntington Center. Not even as packed as the arena gets, but man, it felt like it, right?
Yeah, it definitely was a few people short of what there normally is for a playoff game, but it was middle of the week, right? Nobody, I think, was expecting a Thursday game, and it just kind of is tough to, really sell that many tickets on a weekday. If you look at the attendance totals from last night, you really can see it across the ECHL, but Toledo showed up for, despite it being a Thursday night game, ideally, I think you would want Friday or Saturday and Sunday, in the weekend. Everybody's around doing stuff. So it was just good that, they still sold out, albeit by, I think it was 25 tickets I was told. So, or 24. I don't remember. It's been so long ago and so much chaos in between.
Yeah, the sellout streak continued, though, which is awesome to see. We talked about them not going into the first round on a heater like the past couple seasons, but the sellout streak was still going. We forgot about that one. So, they were still on a streak of some sort heading in. Man, Toledo fans just show up. I saw a comment on one of the videos we posted on Instagram from one of the goals, one of the highlights, and the question was is this packed for an ECHL game? And I had to respond immediately being this is every night in Toledo. Like, it's just what it is. The fans love it. The team, the product, and everything is great. They got Hockey Operations of the Year award for the team as well, and very well deserved for everybody in the organization who does everything they do to make these games so much fun and run as smoothly as they do. Like, it's truly top tier entertainment when it comes to the hockey world, and that environment, man. Even looking at some of these NHL games, I'm like, it was louder in the Huntington Center with not even as many fans as they could fit than some of these NHL games. Looking at you, Toronto.
Dude, like, man, I just want to say one thing about Toronto. Like, they need to go back to like 20 years ago when it was like, I was telling Kels about this, like 2001, 2002, 90s. Like, it was like, kind of like, it wasn't corporate. I guess you would say, like, it seems like the entire Lower Bowl's corporate now. At least that's the vibe. Like, it's very professional. It's like, dude, back in the day when they were like Matt Sundin and Ty Domi, like when they played the Senators in the early 2000s, like it was utter chaos in the Lower Bowl and the fans were just going nuts. And now it's like nothing. And it's like, it's pretty crazy that an ECHL team has a louder experience than an NHL team.
It's true, man. And I don't understand that corporate thing. Like, I work a corporate job, and if I'm going to a game, even in a corporate suite, I'm going to be as loud as possible still for my team. Like, I'll never understand what is going on there. But again, we're not a Leafs podcast. Let's talk back about the Walleye here, and let's just dive into game one. And the boys were setting the tone early. Some of the hits we were seeing right away. Pilon was out there just causing madness on the ice early.
I mean, everybody was. Pilon throwing the body. Craggs just absolutely destroyed that dude at the end of the first period. Like,
yes,
the still frame shots of like each like moment just going into the next one was so good. That was amazing. And honestly, like, we gotta talk about the first goal of the game. Like, holy cow, like, gross. I was like, I said to Kelsey, I was like, ugh, like, this was so gross. Like,
yeah, we have it on screen for the YouTube listeners here, but Trenton Bliss just pulls out a highlight reel goal, short-handed, to kick off the action. And it was that moment right there. I mean, this is under 5 minutes into this game. It's
funny because you turn around and look at me and you're like, what just happened? And I was like, I don't know, goal of the year, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, you strip the puck from the guy using your skate, get around one guy, go through his legs, and get over the goalie's shoulder like that, man. Just unreal. And that's the moment where it's like the roof came off that building. Like, insane.
If you think about it too, like, that was about the most nightmare scenario for Indy that you could possibly have. Like, you're on the power play. It's not even 5 minutes into the game. Like, you could kind of steal the momentum early, and that happens. It's just like, I seen that and I was like, this is not good for Indy. I was like, the building's alive.
Yeah, they let it come alive, and that is a nightmare scenario there. And then just a few minutes after that, while the building is still alive, who else but the reigning ECHL MVP and now this year's MVP, freaking Brandon Hawkins, man. What we're looking at 2 minutes later here with a Toledo power play, and Hawk makes it 2-0. And this goal, again, it's just kind of everything you would expect from Hawk. Just get the puck and rip it, right?
Yeah, well, Kels was like looking at me, and she knew what I was going to say, and I was like, you cannot give that guy time and space. Not that much time and space. You're asking for it. And
yeah,
it was just like, it's the Ovechkin thing, right? Like, and I actually kind of prefer that he's been on that side in this series. Like, they kind of went back to the way that Waddy used to use him, I think, which was kind of put him in the Ovechkin office. It's basically the Ovechkin office of the ECHL when you have him over there. And like, look, like on this goal, he can catch the puck handle and then shoot the puck, or as you see later in the series, you just blow it by the goalie too on a one-timer. So just a fast start. And that was a thing that, like, I talked to Pat, I'm like, what's the difference here? Like, you guys struggled in the start all year, and this was like a completely different scenario. So, and he's just like, we wanted to be better, and we know we got to start fast, and they figured out a way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ask for a better start than what these guys had. And the first period there alone, we looked at each other after it on the concourse, and that's where we said, who is this team? Like, we did not recognize them in this, and that was, again, it's not a bad problem to have when you don't recognize them when they're playing like this. Like you mentioned the Craggs hit earlier, it would be a disservice to Sam Craggs to not put the highlight in the show on YouTube here. He just obliterates this guy, and this is right at the end of the first period. Like, talk about having momentum early, feeding off of it, getting up 2-1, and going to the end of the period going, nope, we're going to continue momentum too. And he just labels this guy. That might be the biggest hit we've seen from Sam Craggs as a walleye.
Well, yeah, definitely all season. And I think back to, like, and they didn't score on this play, but I think I don't remember if it was Brandon Cruz. Somebody had a breakaway, like, not long after they made it 2-0. And, like, if they would have scored on that, like, it would have just, like, you could have just canceled the second and third. But it was.
I think Indy would have preferred that, honestly.
Yeah, and then obviously Smerrick gets a goal. That was a nice play.
I think this is the play you were referencing as well. I have that highlighted as well ready.
Yeah. Oh, it was Gallant.
Yep.
He kind of, like, the rebound was right there and he just sent it high. So it was like it would just seem like everything. Only Brandon Hawkins from the other side of center on your own hash marks in the defensive end is the whereabouts. Like, I'm gonna throw this on net and we're gonna get an opportunity out of this. Like.
Yeah, he throws it. I don't know if it hit the goalie or went off the backboards and popped out there, but at the same time, again, just a heads up play from him.
That play happened, I was like, okay, everything's going right so far. Like, the only thing that didn't happen, I think if Gallant doesn't fall there, because you've seen him stumble, like, if he doesn't fall, it's just one of those things, like, everything was going right. They scored shorthanded. They had a power play goal. Bednar was solid. Smerrick scored, like, the big guns got into it early, and, like, look, the one guy we have to talk about here is Colby Ambrosio.
Dude.
Oh, my God.
4-point game in his first pro playoff game?
Yeah, like, come on. Have a night, right? And I don't think, if you go back and look at it, like, I don't think anybody kind of expected maybe the offensive output that he's had. Like, outside of maybe him and obviously the team, because they went and signed him, but, like, he's come in and just, like, fit in so well. And it's like you're kind of sitting there looking at it and you're like, who's gonna come out when Spezia comes back? Like, you know what I mean? And then they got Banel back later in the series, which we'll get to, but it's like, I don't understand. Like, but to stay with this game, I mean, like, it seemed like every opportunity he had to set somebody up, that I believe he set Craggs up twice off rebounds, and, like, they were, Sam even said in the post game, like, tap-ins, like, buddy, I don't care how you score. If the puck's going in, it's going in. And for Ambrosio, it was like everything he touched that night was just gold.
Yeah, I mean, it was assists too on consecutive walleye goals. He had the assist on the Smerrick goal, he had the secondary assist on that, and then the primary on Craggs, second goal, and then the primary on Sawyer's goal too. Like, he just had himself a night that instantly, if you didn't know who Colby Ambrosio was as a walleye fan, you knew immediately right there who he was. And it's like that thing of guys finding another gear in the playoffs, and he found one. Not that he hadn't produced since he's come in, he's produced points in the regular season, but to do this in your first playoff game, oh, buddy, what a start. Not to set the expectations too high for himself, but at the same time, we don't expect him to have 4 points a night. But to come out and do that was absolutely huge. And then you look at Craggs, too, a 2-goal night from him.
And, he had 2 goals and an assist. Cruz had 3 assists. Like, the top 2 lines were going. And Bliss, I feel like we haven't seen that Trenton Bliss a lot of this year, just with how in and out and banged up he's been. Like, look, offensively, he didn't have the numbers this year he had last year. But when you're battling injuries the entire season, like, if you're going to get this kind of production, buddy, I don't even care how his regular season went. Like, he still had a pretty decent year. Like, I'm sure, he'd be even say, like, maybe didn't put up the amount of points I had this year. And he, everybody knows the injuries he battled through. But holy Christ, he looks so healthy in game 1. This whole series, he looked healthy. And, like,
yes,
when he's healthy, it just changes the whole dynamic. Because, like, if you think of Carson Banel and how his puck possession is, like, it's along the boards, it's heavy. And then you get when Bliss has the puck and he's possessing the puck, it's kind of like this agile around guys, maybe not blowing them away with speed, but just creative use of his edges and ability to find other guys. Like, if you watch back the goal he scored, like, you kind of see how he turns his body sideways and uses his edges, like, and kind of just moves the puck around. He's a fun player to watch. I love to watch Trenton Bliss just because it's like his ability to use his edges while maintaining control of the puck is very different from a lot of players.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Bliss is bliss, man. He's just so much fun to watch, and seeing this level come out in him, like, we all know what he's capable of, and like, you're right, when it's tough when you're in and out of the lineup to produce consistently like that. And it had been a few games since he had a goal, and to come out and score one in that fashion, an instant highlight reel goal to start things off 4 minutes 32 seconds into the game, you're like, okay, he's good, he's ready to go. And as we will continue to talk about through the rest of the series, he's just looked so good. But again, there's no better way to start off game one, to start off a series where even in our last episode, we were like, I don't think they'll do, the first round sweep like we've seen. And as we continue to talk about this, you'll learn they proved us wrong. They win game one in a 6-3 fashion at home like that. It's a great way to start things off. You outshoot them 30-27. Goaltending was great. Jan Bednar looked fantastic in this one, coming up big quite a few times when he needed to. It just kind of gave the team the confidence to go out there and do what they did in this game. Really, he played a solid game back there, and it was just a complete team game from this team.
Yeah, it was. And do you want to start off on the right foot? And they did an excellent job of that. And, if it's crazy to think that, like, with Hawkins, you think about him, right? He had, 10 points in 4 games, and he had 1 in the first game. Like, so it just shows you, like, okay, maybe he didn't have the takeover offensively that night, but as we're going to talk about in games 2 and 3, he really had that. But, like, it's just like, okay, maybe it doesn't have to be him one night and it's another guy. Like, that whole second line was unbelievable. Cruz 3 assists, Craig's 3 points, Ambrosio 4 assists. Like, so you got some secondary scoring there. Smerrick getting a goal. I think with him, like, you think back to what he's told us many times. I want to play in big games. Big games are here, and he's playing well. So, like,
yes, he is. He's delivering in those big games, which is what we expected him to do, and he's doing it, man.
It's funny when you say it like that, like, like Hawk had 1 point, but it was a huge goal to give him a 2-0 lead, and then, like, they scored 6 goals, and it's like, you think, like, okay, guy had almost 90 points in the regular season. Like, you're gonna think, okay, maybe he had 2 or 3 points. It's like, well, he had 1, and it's like, okay, that's great. They don't have to just rely on him. There's so many other guys on this team that took a big step in this game, and a lot of them in their first playoff game. So it's just huge. That was a huge start.
It was. Then you go into game 2 on Friday night there, and again, another great crowd in Toledo, a little bit bigger than the Thursday night game. Continue that sellout streak, and the Walleye take a 2-0 series lead and win this one 5-2. And we've got to talk about the first goal, because, you talk about all those guys that scored in game 1. You're like, where's Louis? He's been hot. Where's he at? Well, then he answers that in game 1 or game 2 here with a goal that was pretty wild, honestly. You get a wild behind the net collision here between the guys, and the puck just ends up on his stick and he buries it. Like, you really can't ask for a better situation for himself there. That collision caused chaos. Gaudreau, the goaltender for Indy, had no clue where the puck was, and Louis ends up with it and ends up burying it and gives them an early 1-0 lead again.
It was just weird, right? The net folds up but doesn't come off the moorings, like, and then the puck's just sitting there, and he's like, "Oh, I can score! Look at this! I got a boop!" Like, you don't know. Yeah. It was just like, oh, it's right here. Like, I can take advantage of it. And again, the first line, like, coming through, like. You said Louis didn't score in game 1. You're like, where's Louis? Well, Louis had 2 in this game. So it just, and like Hawk, 4-point night. Like, it's funny, like you say, you get him one night, he can get you for 1 point in the first game, but then he comes back and gets you for 4. Like, it just is, it's a huge piece of, like, this team. Like, any given night, any guy can have a huge night. And I think that's the thing, right? Like, it's not going to be one player, because eventually, like, the deeper you get into the playoffs, they're going to focus on your top guys. So you're going to need depth scoring. And I feel like it's just a matter of time until other people start to chip in, which, again, as we get further into this, we're going to talk about. So Louis having a two goal game, that was huge. Ambrosio 2 assists in this game. All of a sudden he's got 6 points in 2 games. And it's just like, oh my goodness, Bliss gets another goal. So again, like back to Bliss, like he's healthy and he looks so like just, I don't want to say ready, but fresh. And like that's the only thing I can think of is like he looks like a completely different player in the playoffs. I don't know if it's just like he's healthy, he's ready to roll. Like I'm so excited because like for him, like we've talked about, long year, a lot of injuries, just nagging stuff, and to see him come out and play like this is huge. And Louis though, like he didn't get any in game 1, but then he's right there in game 2. And again, the fast start in game 2, like they score not even 5 minutes into the first period again, and it's like, holy, here we go.
And they
again.
add one more too. And when the team's playing confidently, when you can have guys like Jalen Smerrick down that deep in the zone there to be able to pick up a rebound like this and bury it. Again, Mister wants to play in big games, big game moments right here to take that 2-0 lead early. And I think getting up ahead early is what really helped just keep that momentum and keep the team rolling like this. Like that helps so much. It can't be understated. And he gets a goal and an assist in this game,
Everybody was firing in this series, and you could go up and down the lineup with every single player and point out something that they did incredibly well throughout the series or at any given point in the series. I mean, talk about like Bednar, like he got the taste last year of playoff games. In game 1, he's the first game starter, goes out, gets a win. He was solid all night. And then in game 2, they kept the rotation, right? They go to Gyro, and he played really well. Like first pro start in the playoffs, and you get your first pro win. So like, just goes to show like they have confidence in both guys, and it's a team. This is gonna be done by the team. It's not, and Hawks said it many times. Like this isn't about individual awards. It's about being a team, and the team's gonna go as far as we go as a team. So that's the biggest thing. And you look at the second game too, like 2 for 2 on the power play, 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. You have a perfect night on special teams. And that was really the story in the first game too, with getting the shorty and the power play goal. So really,
yeah, especially not getting a power play until the third period in this game too, and you won it 5-2. Like you see that, and this power play. You're like, oh, there had to be 1 or 2 before that. No, they didn't get one until the third. Officiating was interesting in this game.
It was.
We won't dwell on it too much because we won. If we lost, maybe we'd dwell on it a little more. But again, it's the playoffs. You have to expect that you're going to get refs that go your way one night, one that don't go anybody's way the next night. It's just kind of how it goes, especially at the minor league levels.
I'm going to say this real quick. What they didn't call in game 2, they called in game 4.
Yes. It was kind of a parade to the penalty box that we'll talk about there.
We'll get to that. But, like, you knew, like, when they got the power play late in the game, it was like, I said to Kelsey, like, they got to take advantage. Like, this
and they did.
They have to put the knife in the dagger. Like, they got to give them the dagger.
Put it in and twist it just a little bit,
Just a little bit.
But you talked about Mr. Hawkins, doesn't like, it's not about the individual awards. And as we've kind of already said before this game, he was awarded league MVP for the second consecutive year in the ECHL. And just congrats to him. Obviously, another phenomenal season. It's kind of almost like you expect it from him at this point. And just that reminder to Walleye fans how lucky we are to have a player that calls Toledo officially home like this and doesn't plan on going anywhere else, because these talents, they're not normally like that. They're going to go play where the money is or anything like that. And he's just Hawk. He's that guy that loves the town, loves the team, and wants to be here for the rest of his career. And to have back-to-back MVP seasons at this level, which, mind you, there are some talented guys in this league that were chasing him down. And to be able to still hold off and take that again, it's just a huge accomplishment. So congrats to him. And I wanted to bring that up specifically because, we talked about the type of goal scoring that he can provide, whether it's from the dot or, just kind of gets the puck and lets it rip. And this is that goal you're referencing. Again, kind of in his office, but at the same time, to be able to pick that up and just blow it past Gaudreau like that, nice little setup pass there, but look how early he was wound up on this goal. Like he wanted it. Yep. He's like, yep, I see that lane open up there, and he does not miss. And
how about the celly?
The celly, beautiful. That place again, the roof blowing off. This is one of those power play goals that you had to, they had to score, had to put that dagger in, and to get that dagger this late in the game too, to end it off before you head off to Indy. You're like, are they going to do what they've done for the past 2 seasons? Can they do it? And I think at that point, I don't know about you, I started to believe that they could do it, but it was going to all depend on game 3 and what happened in game 3.
Well, I think the thing with it is more or less like, could they do it? Yeah. Are you expecting them to do it? I'm not sure. I'm not going to bank on it. Like, because like Indy's going to have like, they're still going to have some pushback, right? They're going back to their home building. Like, you're down 2-0, but the old saying is you're never in trouble until you lose on home ice, which I still believe is true. Like, until you lose at home in a playoff series, you're never really in trouble. Even if you start on the road and you drop the first 2, like, okay, what is your goal there? Like, you're trying to go get 1. Like, that's all you want is to get 1 on the road in the first 2. Indy loses the first 2, so it's like, okay, they're coming home. There's going to be some pushback, like, but Toledo just weathered the storm and took advantage of, again, like, power plays and timely scoring. Like, just no other way around it.
Yeah, so let's get ready to dive into game 3. But first, we'll hit an ad break. When we come back, recap game 3 and 4 and preview what this next round could potentially look like.
This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going, but that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out. And games left for you to get in the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And welcome back. All right, let's dive into game 3 here, which again, we wondered what they were going to do, and they walk into Indy and win this game 5-3. One thing I will say, Indy, that this is the first time I've watched a game with their new rink. It's a nice looking rink. Give them some credit there. It's a nice looking arena.
That's what a reliable source said, that it is a nice facility.
that's which is cool. That's good for them. I like that. Again, being a Monday game, you're like, how many fans compared to what Toledo will bring in, and they had 2,900. Like that's not bad for ECHL. It's respectable compared to some teams. You go look at what the Heartlanders had for their playoff games, and you just wonder why the Iowa Wild aren't playing. Like, I know it's not that close, but come on, there's still playoff hockey there. That's a good series too. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But you go into Indy, you win 5-3, and like you alluded to, special teams battles. And Indy, they had their opportunities on the power play in this game. They had a lot of power play opportunities. The Walleye had more, luckily, in this one, which is kind of the opposite of what we saw in game 2. They went 2 for 7. Indy goes 2 for 4. Walleye outshoot them again. But, you look at wanting to get more scoring across the board, right? Always, you want more depth scoring. And the guy who kicks off the scoring for the Walleye, after Indy did take a 1-0 lead for the first time in the series, and you get Moskal getting the first goal of the game for the Walleye here. And again, you want scoring from down the lineup. Here you go. You got it, right?
Yeah, first professional goal comes in the playoffs. Like, what a moment. And listen, like I said earlier, you're going to need the depth guys to pitch in on occasion. And late in the period, that was a huge goal to get them level headed into the break. But I will say, I'll give Jordan his flowers. Like, he was talking about like how their pushback after their first goal was given up, and he's not wrong. Like, he was very accurate on that. I thought after they gave up the first goal, it was just kind of rebound and just kind of get back into it. And I feel like that kind of woke them up a little bit, maybe. Not to say they were horrible, but at the end of the day, they were losing. I mean, you're thinking they're going to go into the first period down 1, and all of a sudden it's tied. So, but
Yeah.
It was a good first to come out of it even.
It really was, like, especially this late in the first two, like that just gets you back in step. And again, they weren't horrible. I don't think they had the same intensity you saw in game 1 and 2, but at the same time, to get that tied up there, that's a big goal. And, you go through the rest of the game, you see, of course, Hawkins is third of the playoffs there. Louis and Smerik assisting on that one. Lewandowski gets his third of the playoffs as well. Hawkins gets another goal in this game as well. But then the guy they get back in the lineup for this game, Carson Bantle, of course, coming in and does what Carson Bantle does. First day reassigned back and ends up getting his first goal of the playoffs. And that felt good for him. He had to be excited coming into this situation, getting to play playoff hockey. Either way, no matter what team he was on, he was playing playoff hockey. But you come down here to a team that's rolling like this that, could use a guy like this who scores a lot of goals for this team and just down in front of the net, ready to go. Kind of just was invisible to the Indy defense back there. No one really covered him when he was down below the red line. He just pops up, picks up that puck.
How do you miss the tallest forward on the team?
Again, it's the question mark around the Indy defense. But I mean, as you watch him in this clip here, yeah, he's just kind of hanging out down there, unguarded. I know at the same time, Walleye are on a power play in this sense, so you kind of got to pick your poison of who you're going to cover. But he did a good job of just being there.
Yeah, and I mean, a majority of it's that second unit too. Like, if you look at who's out there, like that's majority the second group outside of Hawkins, who was still out there, hadn't gotten changed yet. And great pass by Louis right there. I mean, that's a vision play, and
it's like he went for the shot and saw Bance open there and was like, I don't need to shoot it.
No, I wonder if that's a set play. It kind of looks like it is, how Bantle turns to the net like that. And, again, great vision, great play all around. And at that point, like, the Louis goal was a great area pass by Hawkins that, Louis skated into it. And the same play for Hawkins from Louis, like almost identical goals. The Louis one, Hawkins was flying. He just like flipped it past the defender. And you can't leave Braden Hawkins one-on-one with a goaltender from the top of the circle in. Like, you're going to get scored on. And it happened. So, again, though, like to go in there, you're down in the first period, you get even, and then from there you find your game, right? And Smerik another 2 points in this game. Like, offensively, it seems like he's found his mojo from last year kind of in the playoffs, right? And that's kind of, what you wanted, right? Anytime you can have a defenseman over a point per game is very, very huge. And
especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, and the offensive ability there is just unreal, right? And it's just great to see guys coming in. Like, Bantle hadn't played with the Walleye in weeks and steps in and has a huge game, right? Kind of just all that dude does down here is score goals. Like,
it's true, man. Getting a guy like that back. I mean, you think about this overall, which we'll talk about with the series recap here at the end. They did this, and Tyler Spezia was not in the lineup. Like,
it's a blessing. Like, you don't even need I think he was like second or third on the team in scoring, and he missed the last quarter of the season. So, like, you missing a all-star selection. Like, what a pleasure, or not really a pleasure, what a like treat that is to just kind of be like, listen, we don't have to rush you back. Like, you can just like continue to get healthy. Like, we all like, it's been all over social media. We know he's at least skating. So like, that's huge. Like, he can continuously just keep ramping up the intensity while at practice. I'm sure he wants to be in there, but at the same time, it's like, don't rush him back if you don't have to. And they didn't need to. So
no, it's huge to be able to do that. I mean, you saw the rumors posted like game 3 potentially or whatever, and then like them not rushing it back. That's huge for this team. When you think about, like, let's say he is ready to go for round 2. They got a week of practice where he gets to continue to ramp things up and get ready to go. Like, that's dangerous for the other teams in this league, for this Walleye team to be producing like this and to potentially add another piece like that can produce at an extremely high level. If I'm other teams, I'm like, oh, F. Like, this team is definitely not what we thought they were going to be going into the playoffs. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here before we, talk about Game 4. And you look at this, and again, you're on the road. The hardest thing to do is to end a team's season. You've heard the guys say that. You've heard Coach Mickish say that. And they go in, and yes, Indy did play a tighter game. This was a more difficult, more challenging game. And even Coach Mickish said after this, there was, things that they're going to learn from in this game. They weren't their best. And credit to Indy, they tried to go down fighting, but they couldn't pull it off. The Walleye win 4-2, and it's all kicked off by this strange goal that no one knew right away if it was a goal, was it a goal, was it not a goal, who knows? But Matt Anderson goes coast to coast with a disgusting back bar goal to kick off the action. And again, in this series, the Walleye start off the game scoring first, which I think is huge for them. Like, you look at this replay I'm showing you on screen, and you don't know if that puck went in or not. It's so hard to tell. But to go coast to coast, you catch him in a change like that, that's huge.
Well, it's not really so much a change. It's just guys are lackadaisical coming back.
Yeah, you did have those two defenders just kind of hanging out there.
Yeah, and he just blew by him. Like, look, this is like the guy when he starts moving his feet, like, ain't nobody going to catch him. Like, look, he's just going past everybody. And again, like, it went in and out so quick. The ref knew right away.
Credit to him. I had no clue.
Well, and I'm like, when kind of like my initial, like, when I seen the puck come out that quick and I looked in the corner and the ref's like just standing there pointing, like, why? And everybody else is still going. So, like, I wonder if Matt knew. It'll be interesting next time we see him. Like, hey, did you know that puck went in? Like, when you scored in game 4? But again, like, to get the first goal and on what their first or second shot, like,
yeah,
it was just like, again, like, kind of a slower start, but Indy's gonna kind of empty the tank early. Like, they don't have a choice, right? And
yeah, I mean, they outshot Toledo 9-2 in the first,
and they were losing. So
yeah. Yeah.
When you don't get the stops, it's hard to win games. That's all there really is to it. You have a goaltender at a 500 save percentage after the first period. That's a tough look.
Yeah, it's not ideal when your season's on the line, right? Like, that's not the situation you want to be in. And then you go into the second period here and you're like, okay, they're kind of dominating play. What's going to happen? And, Lewandowski takes advantage of a freaking power play here, and kind of a play that he just didn't give up on, right? He ends up getting that puck back to him, shoots it once. It's blocked. Then it's left out there in the open for him, and Gaudreau's still down, and he just puts it up top.
Great pass. I believe that's Cruz over there on the far side, right there.
Yep.
That's a great pass across, and then a credit to Louis for staying with it. And the poor goaltender's already down, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what am I? What are you supposed to do, right?" Like, and you got Bannell in that front, Craig's in the bumper. It's just like there's so many options, and that's the second power play unit. Like, oh my goodness, there's just so many options, and their power play in game 4 was not great for most of the night. Like, if you look at the statistics, it's like it wasn't like great by any means, but again, they found a way to get the goals when they needed them. And I think Indy did a good job of just kind of adjusting. Let's not forget, Indy had a great penalty kill in the regular season. If you go back and look at the statistics, I mean, they were a team that when they took penalties, which they took a lot in this series, they were just very, in this game at least, much more consistent on killing penalties. And I think that's probably the biggest factor when you're on the ice seemingly for the whole game as a PK. It really wears on you. So I will give them some flowers for that. Like, they were like on the ice, literally it felt like half the hockey game in game 4.
Yeah, honestly, like, there is some credit there, but at the same time, it's, again, when we say the Walleye took it to a new gear, it's like Indy prepared for the team they had video for from the regular season, and this wasn't the same team by any means. And I don't know how you could better prepare for it when you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah,
so real quick, I got it right here. They were 85% in the regular season, third best in the entire league. Indy's PK. So I'll take the 30% the clip that the Walleye went on, and then you partner it with a 84 point whatever percent on PK for 114% in the first round. Like, it's pretty good.
And I think what killed Indy in this game, granted, they did, try to mount a comeback in the third period. Both their goals were, one was 5 minutes in and one was at 17 minutes in. There was a 5-on-3 about 5 minutes into that third that they couldn't convert on. And then Carson Bantle comes out of the penalty box, receives the puck here, which, again, great heads-up action by the Walleye in their own zone. Vance is coming out of the box and just comes in, and he's not going to miss that opportunity.
Well, the 5-on-3 was quite a scenario because he got tackled and got the penalty out of that. So
yeah, I don't know how he was the one to receive the penalty out of that.
I'll tell you this: karma bit him in the ass for Indy.
Yeah, this was the play that resulted in Bantle going into the box for those watching on YouTube, and he's just getting manhandled down here.
And Bantle gets the only penalty out of this. Like, it makes no sense. Like, and I think they gave him a slashing penalty. Where the hell is he slashing somebody? I think
the final score sheet said roughing.
Oh.
I can confirm it for you real quick. It was a roughing minor.
Oh, but still, he's being mauled.
Yeah, it was, again, officiating was inconsistent in this round, to say the least, for sure. But at the same time, we won't dwell on it. We won the series 4-0.
You can't complain when you get a nice break and guys can get healthy. Because let's be real, everybody's got something nagging them at this point in the year.
It didn't look like it.
To not have to play 5, 6, 7 games against Indy is huge for Toledo, which we'll get into why here when we get into the next little piece we got. But just a couple things I wanted to point out with the series as a whole. I know there's not a ton left to really discuss other than like Craigs and Louis, again, 2-point games for both of them. And that is like, they've said it, and I didn't want to say it like because I didn't want to jinx it, but with everybody talking about it now, that's 26 games in a row that the Walleye have won in the divisional rounds of the playoffs. It's like 6
Which
series.
is an insane number.
It's like 6 series.
Yep.
Like, come on. Like, this is unheard of. And
it is, man.
I didn't really do my homework knowing that they were going into that on like it would be 22?
Yeah.
Like a 22 game win streak in the divisional round. But like, again,
I saw it. I just didn't want to talk about it. I was like, I'm not saying anything heading into this first round because we don't know what we're going to get, because there was so much uncertainty. We didn't know what Walleye team we were going to see. Like, this team wasn't one we saw all season. Like, no, it's not. We're not saying that's not like a jab at them. It's just like credit to them to be able to find that gear. Like, it was so much fun to watch. And again, not that they weren't fun to watch this season. They were a lot more fun to watch than the Griffins a lot of the time, especially for me. But at the same time, like, to find that gear and to be as physical and fast and as consistent as they were, even just in game one, it blew my mind. I loved every second of it. When you think playoff hockey, that team, the example we saw on the ice was playoff hockey through and through, all 4 games. Like, even the games where they weren't maybe at their best, they were still the obviously better team on the ice, and that is why they swept Indy.
Yeah, and it's just it's nuts to hear swept again. Like,
it is. And you look at it, you look at some of these guys through the 4 games. Brandon Hawkins, 10 points. Lewandowski, 7 points. Trenton Bliss, 6 points. Ambrosio, 6 points. Sam Craggs, 5 points. You go on the defensive side of things, Jalen Smerrick at 6 points in those 4 games as well. Matt Anderson even with 2 points in the 4 games. And let's be real, the goalie numbers, are they the best through those? They're not the best, but they're still pretty darn good. And they didn't need to be the best numbers. You didn't need shutouts in these games. The offense was just rolling.
Yeah, and I'm not really concerned with the goaltending. I think
I think they were fabulous. I think they were great in the series.
Well, they were great when they definitely needed them to be, and there were points in each game where they needed to be huge. And I think that's a huge credit to just the work they've put in all year and just the ability to know that they're going to flip-flop every game still, even though it's the playoffs. You know both are going to play. And when you can start both and get quality starts out of both guys, I think that's really the biggest thing for Toledo. Like, what do you need like to go on a run? You need goaltending, you need depth scoring, and you need timely scoring, and you need your big gun. You need everything to go right, and goaltending is a huge piece of it. So the fact that they're playing too and getting good starts is huge.
And let's be honest, we were both kind of nervous, right? Thinking about the flip flop. Like we didn't know what to expect from Gyro in the playoffs here. And he exceeded my expectations. Like, you look at some of the goals in the regular season, you're like, man, you hope you don't see some of those like early ones, right? And he looked solid, man. He looked so good. And Jan was just doing Jan Bednar things. They both just look dialed in right now.
Like, the whole team does. Like,
yeah. It's unreal. Like, credit to the players and the coaching staff, man. If fans didn't think they're taking this seriously and they didn't know what's at stake and what the fans want in this, I hope that silenced a lot of criticism. Because you even looked online heading into this series and everyone's like, maybe we'll see you in the second round. You saw Fort Wayne fans saying it and everyone else. And like, I think they instantly all had to bite their tongue watching this team play.
Well, what made me kind of mad was, like, you see all these negative comments of, like, what a joke, like, about as bad as it gets, blah, 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 this is nonsense. Like, come on, guys. Like, you're literally, like, a fan of these guys, and you're just going to start slamming them. They haven't even played game one of the playoffs, and then you see what they do in the first round, and it's like, again, like, what are we worried about here?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if you're worried after those last couple of games of the season, you got to remember, they were not bringing their full intensity. Once the division was locked up and home ice was locked up, not a single guy on the team was bringing their full, true intensity. Clearly, we saw the full intensity with the first round here. Like, they're trying not to get hurt. They're trying to get out of the regular season unscathed and ready to go in that first round. Yes, winning that game against Indy for the last game of the regular season was really big and not letting Indy get any momentum in Toledo. And you got to think, too, for a team to be in Toledo already set up, like, they didn't have to go back home. I don't know if they did or not. But at the same time, like, the recipe was there for this to go either be a long series or it could go bad. And the players silenced the haters immediately, which we all kind of knew they would.
Well, it's just silly. Like, come on, guys. Like, the leadership core in this team knows what it takes. Like, just because it's not maybe, like, roster that you see a lot of guys that have gotten a lot of AHL games, and it's a younger team. Like, it is a younger team, but sometimes youth is a great thing. And hell,
it brought speed. Good God, they were so fast.
Well, yeah, and I mean, look at like Ambrosio had 6 points, something like that. So
yeah,
like it just makes me mad that like people see the roster. It's like, what did you expect? You should have been able to predict what the roster was going to be. Like, you knew GR wasn't going to send you any help. Like,
unfortunately,
it's just a reality of the situation. You know what you have. Like, you're mad because of what and why? Like, they won the division with the roster they have. And again, I'm going to say it this year. I said it last year when, I joined you guys. I'm like, I feel like not enough people understand how hard it is to win one round in the playoffs, let alone win 4 of them. I think people see like the Florida thing and it's like, oh, well, they just roll through everybody. And it's like, yeah, that's true to a point. But at the same time, they have a lot of things go right for them. Like, you have to have so many things go right for you this time of year just to win one round. And like, that is an achievement that over half of the league would be thrilled with.
Yeah, and remember, this team has swept the first round and second round for the last 26 games they've played in those rounds. Like, again, enjoy this ride while we have it, because these things don't last forever.
Yeah, and like, you could have been done April 15th, and you're not going to games now. So just enjoy it. Yeah,
this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be such a fun team to cover in the playoffs, man. I'm so excited.
There should just be there shouldn't be negativity. Like, it should all be positive. Like, sure, like we were like, well, we don't know, and it's like, well, when you look at it, yeah, there's questions, but
yeah, we try to shoot it straight,
and answer it. So it's like, okay, is everybody just gonna be like, oh, sunshine and rainbows now? Like, we knew the potential, but we just hadn't seen it probably at a full 60. We heard that a lot through the season too, of like full 60. We've seen full 60, and it's a damn good hockey team when they play 60 minutes.
I think they played a full 60 probably 3 of these 4 games, honestly.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you. I mean,
and that's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, and they even said, like, look, there's still correctable things. Like, there's always going to be things to correct. So, enough
If you were worried
slander.
about a lack of physicality, they answered that question. If you were worried about scoring, they sure as hell answered that question. If you were worried about goaltending and defense, one, why were you? But two, they answered that as well. So this team's going to be fun, man. I'm so excited. Like, obviously, for me, as I've said before, I love my Griffins, and my Griffins can also frustrate the hell out of me on a weekly basis. But at the same time, I always look forward to that trip down to T-Town to get in that environment, to experience that, but also just to watch these games. Even there are road games that I'm watching them and I'm just blown away by what we're seeing on the ice. And to know that they're going to keep that foot on the gas. Even Hawk said it. I think it was either after game 1 or game 2 in his post game interview on the ice there. Like, they want to win that championship. It's not a term that's thrown around a lot. The guys don't like to say the word, but at the same time, they know, the fans know, we all know. And I know it's just the first round, man, but I feel more and more confident by the day with this team that there's going to be a deep run here, and it's going to be a really fun ride. Is every series going to be a sweep? No, that's unrealistic expectations. And the next series, depending on who it's going to be tough either way. But at the same time, it's fun hockey. And if they're going to play this play style every game, it is just pure entertainment, especially when that physicality comes in from guys you wouldn't expect it. Craig's throwing hits like that. You would have told me that at the beginning of the season or midway through that Craig's threw a hit like that. I'm like, that's a funny joke. No, guy labeled that dude. And it's more credit to them too, because you look at the play style that Indy tried to bring to the table. They tried to bring physical. They tried to play after the whistle, and the Walleye did not let that happen. There's a maturity and confidence about that team where they're like, that team can try all they want to draw us in and play that game. You can go through a game where you don't get a power play until the third period, and it doesn't matter. They stuck to their game plan and played their way and got under their skin and did the darn thing. And that's just so exciting as a fan.
Yeah, it is. And, again, to preface this is like, we're not raising a banner yet. There's still a long ways to go. But, like, you just have to enjoy what you've seen out of the first round. Like,
100%.
It gives you, it's going to give some fans an assurance as to what they thought. It's going to maybe turn an eye into some people that thought maybe they weren't ready. And it's like, okay, like, yeah, there were questions, but again, they went out and answered them. So,
exactly.
Remember Paul Maurice, like, a couple years ago in the finals, like, everybody breathe.
Yeah.
With a word in there that I'm not going to say. But it's just like, okay, everybody can breathe now. Like, we got through the first round. We seen the potential. Now it's just going to be a matter of keeping that up. And a 10-day break is going to be tough to keep the intensity. But I feel like there's enough maturity and leadership in that room that, like, they'll be ready whenever they get to the next round.
Yeah, you take a day to enjoy it, and then you get right back to work, man. And that's what this team's going to do. So it always is weird having these long breaks, when your team sweeps the first round, but also for us, it couldn't have been timed more perfectly for our schedules in life. So thanks, boys, for making life a little easier for us. But let's update the folks what's happening around the ECHL and the Kelly Cup playoffs too, because that's also really important to know about right now. So I'm going to pop it up on screen for the YouTube viewers following along here. And this is what's happening. You look at the North Division here. Three Rivers up 3-0 on Reading already in this one. Interesting series so far. You had Three Rivers dominating the first game 4-2, then 5-1, and then you got a 2 overtime game at Reading there. So Reading showing some life in that one. We'll see. They have game 4. It's going on currently as we're recording this. So I don't think we'll have an update in this one, but maybe next time we talk, we'll know what's going on in that series. But you go to the other one in the north there, Wheeling and Norfolk, and Travis, Wheeling is not living up to your expectations of what you put in that predictions there for the Kelly Cup playoffs in the last episode, because they are down 2-0 to Norfolk, who's turned into be really sneaky good.
Well, that was like a more of what I want. If you listen to that again, there was.
I know you did say what I want. Yeah.
But I did think that a change in division would be good for them, just to kind of see some new faces and kind of, because they tried to play a heavy game and just to see what that would translate, and clearly it's not translating well.
They should try scoring a goal, because they haven't yet in the playoffs here.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. It is what it is. I mainly wanted that matchup just for
selfish reasons.
the 4-hour drive that it would be in the finals. But credit to Norfolk. Like, look, you got a 2-5 format. Like, they took care of their home ice. So,
Yeah.
they're going to have to win 2 in Wheeling. But
One of those is tonight, and we don't know how that's going at the moment, but at the same time.
yeah, it's just one of those things, like building availability in a 2-5 series. It's just like,
Don't get me started on a playoff schedule right now.
it's enough to make you want to throw up.
Save that for the next episode, please.
Wheeling has scored a goal.
Oh, there we go.
It's 2-1 Norfolk, but Wheeling has scored a goal.
Only took him
And-
3 games to do it.
Yeah, and Readings is tied after the second.
All right. We'll go down to the South Division here. South Carolina leads 2-1. They won the first game, won the second game in overtime, but Orlando answered back at home last night with a 4-2 win there. Interesting stuff there. I thought that was going to be kind of a waltz right through for South Carolina, but Orlando showing some life.
And they're tied in the second period right now. So
All right.
Orlando's giving them a little bit of fits. So credit to the Solar Bears. Obviously, you're going in there, you're pretty much David going to fight Goliath. So it's like, what do you expect? I mean, both matchups in the South were David versus Goliath. So it's just kind of like you want to see some fight. And a credit to the Solar Bears. I mean, it'd be cool to see that series go 2-2. But we'll see what
I mean, if
happens
you're a
as
Walleye
this
fan, you want all these series to go 7. Like, you want every other one to go 7 games. That's what you want to see. So, hey, we'll take what we can get. And we go down to the Everblades in Jacksonville. Florida's up 2-0 in that one, but both games have been overtime games.
Jacksonville should have won the first game. Like, we were at the Huntington Center that night, and they were winning late, gave up the tying goal, and then lost in overtime, and then they lost in overtime in the second game. And they're again tied in the second period, so at 1-1. So a pretty low-scoring series down there, which you can kind of expect. I mean, with Cam Johnson, like, he's not going to give you a lot of goals if you're Jacksonville. You can't go in there expecting to win 5-4. You're going to have to go in there and expect to win like 1-0 or 2-1 or 3-2. So,
I mean, hey, if you're going to get swept by Florida, at least taking them to extra periods, everyone else in the league will take that, right?
yeah. I mean, especially Orlando and South Carolina.
And then obviously in the Central Division, Toledo's wrapped up their series with Indy, as we've talked about for this entire episode. But we go to the other matchup in that division, and that series is now tied 2-2 with Fort Wayne and Iowa there, which Toledo fans have to love to see this series potentially go in 7. That's an ideal situation with the last game scheduled on the 29th and the first game of the next round being on the 2nd. So not a lot of time in between. That's exactly what we want to see. Iowa won that first game there 5-3. That was kind of a surprise to all of us, but Fort Wayne answered right back 5-2 in the second game. Then Fort Wayne 7-6 overtime win in game 3.
That game was chaos. Like,
Pure chaos.
I'm in a group message and it was like, oh, it's 4-2 after the second. And then all of a sudden I get a text of, hey, it's 6-6 with like 3 minutes left. And I was like, what? Like, Fort Wayne had a 2-goal lead twice in the third period and blew it. And they end up winning in overtime. But just unreal. You see that and it's like, holy cow, like, that's a lot of goals for a playoff game.
And then the next night being a 3-2 double overtime win for Iowa. Like, again, keep the extra periods and these extra games rolling. We love to see that. We will thank you guys for that all day long.
Especially in that series. And I think they play tomorrow. But, like, I mean, we have to ask, like, who would you rather?
I don't know.
I got my
let
pick.
me sit on that while we go through the rest of the round or the rest of the matchups here. I'll give you an answer at the end of this.
Okay.
So you go to the Mountain Division here. You got Kansas City and Tulsa matching up. Kansas City leads that one 2-1. Tulsa won the first game 4-2. The next game goes to overtime. Kansas City wins that 3-2. Then Kansas City dominates in Tulsa, ironically, there with a 5-1 win in game 3. Game 4 is on Thursday here. That's again, that's kind of one where you expected a sweep, right?
Well, Tulsa should have won the first 2 games. Another lead late that they blew, that was blown by a road team on the road. So tough to come back and get waxed 5-1. But hopefully Tulsa can make a series out of this. It'd be unreal if Kansas City were to fall. But it seems like they've found their game in the second or in the third game, and we'll see tomorrow night what happens.
Well, if they don't fall, they got to face, it looks like a pretty tough opponent here when you go to the Tahoe-Wichita series. Tahoe's up 2-0 in that one, and it's just been commanding victories. 6-1 in game 1 and 8-1 in game 2.
Both on the road.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to play Tahoe. Like, this is like, I know Wichita they might not be the best team in the league by any means, but they got good goaltending and decent defense, and you wouldn't expect these. They did, and I don't know where it went, but yeah, 6-1 and 8-1 on the road for Tahoe. That expansion team making their first, it's the first year in the league, and you're in the playoffs, and you come out of the gate like this. Holy smokes!
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. The first year they've had and their first 2 playoff games, it's just nuts. And to go on the road and just absolutely dummy the team you're playing, that's impressive work by Tahoe. That'll be a fun matchup if they do end up with Kansas City. That might be war out west.
It really might be, which again, if you're the Walleye, you kind of hope to see those series go like that, right? You want them to be a battle for those teams, and then you get a battle-broken team to face, hopefully, and you can kind of take advantage of it. Not that I feel like the Walleye need that advantage, but hell, it's the playoffs. You'll take anything you can get. But to answer your question that you asked, who would I rather, Fort Wayne or Iowa? Look, Iowa's a tough team either way, and for travel's sake and all that, I'd rather not play them. I'd rather it be Fort Wayne just because I think the 2 fan bases will go to war. Like Fort Wayne's got a very passionate fan base, and obviously the Walleye do too. And I think it could be a lot of fun. It could be a lot of chaos. And also for travel sense, if we decided we want to go to a road game, it would also be pretty nice. So those are selfish reasons why. A series with Fort Wayne is going to be difficult, man. It's going to be a challenge either way you look at it. But I think both of these teams are pretty evenly matched, and if you want to be able to go on the road and have a not hectic environment, you're choosing Iowa based on, again, what we've seen in attendance with the fans there. But at the same time, Iowa's sneaky good, and being their first time making the playoffs, I don't know if I want to face that in the second round.
So I have 2 answers.
Well, there's 2 teams, so that makes sense.
I want to play Fort Wayne just for the rivalry. We haven't played them in a long time in the playoffs, and I feel like anytime you get those 2 in the playoffs, it's huge, and it's the both fan bases travel so well. Reason I want Iowa is so that I don't get motion sickness watching the game on Flow Sports for Fort Wayne, because they zoom in on the puck basically. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's why
it's not the reason I expected, but I totally agree with it.
And I mean, Iowa kind of had Toledo's number this year if you look at the overall season records against. So that's where I'm at. Look,
man, with what this first round told me, regular season records don't mean shit.
No, they don't.
They don't mean anything. Yeah, I mean, and you think back to even last year in the playoffs. We met up with Kalamazoo in that first round, and that regular season record against them was not good, and then they swept them. And you're like, okay, well, who is this team? And again, they found that gear. I feel like this team found a bigger gear than what they found last year in the playoffs, which is really exciting when you think about what that could lead to. But again, either way, those matchups will be fun. And if Fort Wayne fans travel well, good luck. I think second round tickets will be pretty hard to come by. So
yeah,
good luck, folks. But I know Walleye fans will travel well. And like I said, who knows? Maybe we will too. It could be fun. And I think that's all we have for this recap here. Shout out again to the Toledo Walleye for making it easy and not having us just break down 2 games and have to do another episode next week to break down the rest of the series. So thanks, boys. We appreciate the break and hope that they enjoy it as well and get some good practice in and are ready to roll, man. I'm ready for round 2 already. It's sad, and if you're a Griffins fan listening to this, ignore me. And if you're a Walleye fan, don't tell the Griffins fans I said this. I'm more excited about the Toledo playoffs right now than I am for the Griffins playoffs. But that mainly just comes with what the schedule for the first round is. It's just absurdly stupid. But tune into the Griffins playoff preview to hear us rant about that for probably a good 10 minutes. But look, man, the buzz that is around Toledo and around the sports teams, even Tyler said it when he was down there. This was his first walleye game that he's been to. He was there covering the NCAA tournament and kind of understood why Toledo is a sports town just based off that alone. But then seeing it firsthand in the playoffs here, I can confidently say that there'll be an article about the walleye on Daily Faceoff at some point in time, which that alone, ECHL doesn't get covered by them. No one there talks about them. He even told the other writers, he's like, yeah, I'm at an ECHL game. And everyone's like, what? Why? And he left that arena blown away.
Yeah, he was nice enough to send me a kind of a rough draft. So.
Oh, he's already started writing it? He said that'd be a summer project.
He did kind of tease it a little bit, and he did. It's pretty good. So I might be helping him with a few things.
I love it, man.
Friedman's hard at work down here.
He always is. God, it's just cool to see, man. Like, the more people we expose to this city, they fall in love with that sports scene immediately, and there's a reason why. It's special. I wasn't gonna say that, but sure. It's special, man. It's fans, like we've said a million times, enjoy it. Like, there's really nothing like it. Toledo is a hockey town, and I will say that in any Red Wings fan's face. Toledo is a hockey town. So with that, we'll wrap this one up. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As always, we got to thank our sponsors of the show, DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. So when you're betting with DraftKings, use code THPN. And when you're shopping at everythinghockey.com, use code WEST. Saves a few bucks off your order and also supports the show. We also got to thank our Patreon subscribers, because without them, the show would not be possible. Those currently are Tyler, Reagan, Claire, John, Elaine, Griffin, Randy, Derek, Lori, Alan, and Michael. Thank you all for the love and support. If you want to jump over there and join them as well, head over to patreon.com/Hockeytown West Podcast and check out the tiers we have there. They start as low as $1 a month. We keep it as cheap and affordable as possible. You get unedited episodes over there, bonus content, exclusive episodes, which we got to record one of those soon once our schedule clears up here. And who knows what else we'll do in the playoffs. I know Nick and I have talked about some Griffins playoff ticket giveaways. I don't think we'll be able to pull that off with Toledo, how fast those tickets disappear. But at the same time, you never know. So keep your eye out there. And like I said, if you want to join them, patreon.com/Hockeytown West Podcast. With that, though, we'll wrap this episode up. Thank you all for tuning in. And as always, go Griffins, go Walleye, and we'll talk to y'all again very soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod, and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy, and Brandon at BrandonGR Hockey.